Greetings, Scorpio and Scorpio rising. This is your Western forecast for January 2025. In the yearly forecast, I really emphasize the 4 outer planets all changing signs, which is extremely rare. And I describe how this is a major paradigm shift. And they will all, but the first 6 months could be very unsettled as everything is changing. But by July, August, they have shifted and in harmony with each other. But I didn't talk about a 5th major planetary transition because it's more on the spiritual side, and it could be a little bit more overwhelming with information. And I knew that this karmic north node was moving into Pisces in January. So I was saving it for the January forecast because it's trying to bring in some very special energies. Now, if you've been watching my videos, I like to start with where's the new moon every month. The new moon happens every 4 weeks. Wherever it impacts your horoscope is where your attention is being very drawn to. And on December the 30th, we had the new moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is 3 signs past Scorpio. So the 3rd house matters will be the dominant theme through the end of January. The 3rd house can mean learning, writing, communications, selling, a lot of short distance traveling. So this 3rd house is an intellectual, mentally stimulated, learning sector of the chart. This that karmic north node, it's going into Pisces, which is trying to awaken a lot of creative desires. So maybe with the Capricorn, impacting the 3rd house, is more of this pull to be learning. That's the 3rd house. New creative directions. And the 5th house can also be risk-taking and investing and gambling. So maybe you're learning how to start to get really interested in how to learn how to invest in and make your money work for you. Now, before I then go deeper into what's happening here, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. All right, so the new moon, December the 30th, in your 3rd, where you're learning, you're interviewing, you're selling, you're marketing, that's all that 3rd house can be lit up. 2 weeks after a new moon is a full moon. A full moon will reveal what's working and not working out from what you got started with the new moon. The full moon can also be very emotional, bring things that have been hidden to the surface. This full moon on January the 13th, so maybe from the 12th to the 14th, 15th, could be really impacting the world. This full moon is going to be very disruptive and intense, but it may only last a couple of days. That's because the full moon's in Cancer, and it's going to be aligned with angry, irritable Mars in Cancer, because Mars is retrograde. And Mars doesn't like being in Cancer, and it certainly doesn't like being retrograde. So there's a lot of this frustrated, anxious energies that is influencing this emotional full moon. Now, the full moon is opposite the new moon. And the new moon is in your third. Opposite the third house sector is the ninth house sector. The ninth house, in some ways, it's just the higher vibration of the third house. The ninth house can be higher education, publishing, marketing, long distance traveling. But in any of those areas, around the 13th, the 14th, with the full moon with Mars, there could be some real anger, upsets. So you just want to be aware of it and keep the temperature down. And I wouldn't be traveling, as the ninth house is long distance traveling, around the 13th to 14th. So there's going to be tens of thousands of airplanes and ships and trains all over the world. So the chances of you being in a crash is astronomically, and it's not going to happen. But you could get really angry and frustrated if you have to change your travel plans at the last minute, or if the plane is delayed 3 hours and you miss your connecting flights. So it could be that traveling is more about triggering a lot of anger and upsets for a couple of days. Now, Mars, as I talked about in my December forecast, my yearly forecast, Mars, the warrior planet. Mars is courage and ambition and drive. But every 2 years, Mars retrogrades. And Mars gets really frustrated because Mars wants to take the lead and conquer the world. But when it's retrograde, it feels like it's swimming against the current. Everything is slowing you down and holding you back. This is for the whole world. So the Mars went retrograde December the 6th. But on January the 6th, right now, the Mars, as it's retrograde, is retrograding back into the sign of Cancer. Now, Cancer is a water sign, favorable with watery Scorpio. Cancer is 9 signs past Scorpio. So I already talked about the full moon in Cancer with this anxious, irritable retrograde Mars in the 9th house for a couple of days. But Mars will be retrograde in the 9th house from January the 6th till February the 23rd. You could have a lot of objectives and drives and goals of Mars with the 9th house that could be with education, marketing, publishing, and all of that could just feel like you're walking through mud. It's taking so much effort to get the same results. So you could be exhausted. It could be slowed down. You could be frustrated. But on February 23rd, now it's direct in the 9th house. So now you have more focus, more clarity, more energy to really go after these 9th house goals from February 23rd to April the 17th. So now you're going to be very active, very driven and motivated with the 9th house matters of teaching and marketing and traveling. Now, the karmic north node, first of all, it amplifies whatever its touches, and it's in the sign of Pisces. So all things Pisces, creative, compassion, spirituality, intuition can be more amplified for the world. For Scorpio, it is from January 2025 for a year and a half, it's transiting your 5th house. Now it's in harmony with Scorpio, and the 5th house is the domain of creativity, children, romance. Could also be risk-taking. It's also a very pleasurable area of the chart. The 5th house can be dealing with recreational activities or hobbies. And Venus is only for the month of January, it's exalted, giving its best results, being in Pisces, and then the karmic north node is amplifying already an amplified positive Venus in Pisces. One of the things, that fifth house, is when I'm talking about hobbies, you could be feeling you really want to learn acting, singing, playing an instrument, or getting more technique with playing sports, with playing a musical instrument. But the fifth house is children. There might be a strong desire to have a child, give birth to a child, to work with children. And with that sun in the third house of learning and writing, the fifth house, some of you could be thinking about writing a children's book as one example. And here's Mars in the ninth house. So wants to finally, when it stops being retrograde, the ninth house is the teaching, the promotion, the marketing, the publishing. So you could be that fifth house of giving birth to a creative project that could be with acting and writing and singing, but with the Mars, that could also involve the promotion and the publishing. The fifth house can also represent gambling, investing, speculating. So you could be also taking a lot of chances to give birth to some kind of creative new project. Now, the sun will leave Capricorn on the 19th and go into Aquarius. And it will be in Aquarius for 4 weeks. It's putting some more interest with fourth house matters, home, family, real estate, from January the 19th. But the Capricorn new moon is still the dominant theme till the end of January. So you're going to get some ideas, some interests about home and family, real estate matters the last week of January. But that's not going to be the central theme until you get into February. And it could be that last week of January with the sun now in the fourth house of family, and the fifth house is with children. Well, that could be conceiving or giving birth to a child, but also the fifth house is entertainment and playfulness. It's a very pleasurable area of the chart, vacations, parties. And with the sun now, the last week, moving into the fourth house of family, maybe you are really making plans or going on a family holiday, and or taking the kids, if you have children, on a holiday. The fourth house can also be starting at the end of January, mainly February, then January, could start putting your attention on your living situation. So then all that fifth house could be starting to think about wanting to entertain in your home, or to beautify or buy some new art pieces, decorative pieces for your home. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or check out my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.co. That's .co. Until next month, be safe and well.